Hey guys, I'd like to welcome you to the Kortex Media Podcast, where we navigate the fast-paced world of automotive and more. Founder of Kortex Media and your host, Korson Schmidt. I'm a growth partner helping automotive companies grow by creating custom-tailored growth plans to help you hit your goals for the year. I'd like to welcome Lindsay Graham, founder and CEO of CarPal. Lindsay's career began at top sales consultant, quickly earning the title of #1 Saturn salesperson in the country for 3 years running, with roots in psychology, dance, and French, and an MBA journey sponsored by Duke's University president. She's blended sharp business acumen with a genuine passion for empowering buyers. Lindsay leads CarPal with a client-first philosophy. Her 28 years of experience with exceptional math and negotiation skills and dedication to a stress-free, truly personalized car buying process have helped thousands of clients find their ideal vehicles across the U.S. without the need to advertise. Her reputation speaks for itself, and I have her here today. Welcome, Lindsay. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for that. What a great introduction. I like it. Can I have it?
You bet. You can take that and post it and whatever you want to do with it.
Love it.
But before really diving in, let's start first by diving into your background. So you've been in automotive since 1997, but what was that first spark that got you started within the industry?
It was interesting because cars per se aren't really even a big interest of mine. Negotiation has always been a big interest of mine, and also really clear communications, and that goes back to watching my dad when I was a kid. Like, I would call him at the office, which was a big deal. He worked at Xerox and he ran the communications department. And so the secretary would always pick up the phone and say, communications. And so I think when you hear that enough as you're growing up, communications, because we didn't have cell phones, so I couldn't call his cell phone. Saturn dated me when you talked about my history with Saturn. I think I got interested because I found that when I was buying cars, which unfortunately, because it's not fiscally responsible, I bought a lot of cars. I was a Toyota addict for a while, and so I noticed that when I was communicating, that the communications back as I negotiated for what I wanted and the price I wanted and the interest rate I wanted, I just noticed that they were subpar. So that's just sort of put a pin in that. And then I became the writer for the president of Duke University, and what that required. Actually, he stepped down and he became the president emeritus, but still there was a lot of writing work for him and for his people and for all the people who knew him. And so I was his ghostwriter. And what I had to do as a ghostwriter is I had to be him. So I had to be the president, or President Emeritus H. Keith H. Brody, when I met with his seriously VIP people, and write as if I were him, interviewing them. And so I got into the habit of being other people by working for the president, being his writer. And so when he offered to pay for either law school or business school. And I picked business school, and his thoughts were that I would use business school to be, to do university development. He thought I had great people skills. But in business school, we did a case study of the Saturn project. And I was really fascinated with how much that company focused on communications and really listening and really paying attention to what the consumer wanted. So I was drawn into that. When I went to work for Saturn, Keith, as we called him, or Dr. Brody as many knew him, he was really disappointed. He said, this is not what I had in mind for you to become a salesperson from getting a business school degree. So, but what happened was I was able to go, back in those days, you could go to study how to be a sales consultant at the Saturn, like it was at the plant. There was a real, like, a destination where you would go learn. And so I implemented everything that I learned, and it was about communications and about listening. And then I just happened to be a negotiator side hobby from buying a lot of cars probably, and just maybe being intrigued that negotiations is really about communications. And So I did everything that I learned, and I did it exactly as I learned it at Saturn School in Spring Hill, Tennessee. And then I became number one in the country without even knowing it. I knew I was number one at the dealership because they had these boards, and I was always way off at the top. But
Yeah,
I just was doing what I learned. And so that's how I got into cars. So it was not about cars. It was about interest in communications, interest about what made Saturn different. And unfortunately, it was a catastrophic failure. But I learned a lot. And people are still benefiting today from what they created in terms of how to communicate.
for sure. And you bring that every day with CarPal. Do you mind giving us a little deep dive on what the inspiration behind CarPal was, why you made that pivot to kind of run your own company and focus more on the buyer?
Yeah. So what really was the catalyst for that was I after Saturn went belly up, I was recruited by Toyota to work in their internet department, and then I was recruited by another Toyota store to run their internet department. And a couple years in, I found that I wasn't really interested in using my skills to get in a car and test drive with people. So I started having, even though I was running an internet department, it was still expected that I would get in the car and drive. So I made up some excuse. It was a real excuse. I was injured and that I would have to work from home. But I worked from home far past when I was healed from the injury because I didn't want to go back into the dealership. And when I was working, I ran the whole team from home. I did everything over the internet with our clients. Our clients seemed to love doing everything by email and not really talking to a salesperson because by then people already didn't love salespeople. And so I was able to organize the entire sale from wherever they were. And we started having people from all over the country, which was bizarre and fun. They would come buy cars from us because they just started telling their friends that our customer service was extremely good. And so they would get in an airplane and come buy a Toyota and then drive it home. So as I observed how my team worked and how I ran the company from home, I decided that I could really use this method to start a company and work with all makes and models. And instead of running a team at the Toyota store, sort of consider that every salesperson at any store, as long as they were a high caliber team, mind you, I could have them be my team and serve the clients in the way that I sort of managed them. Mm-hmm. And that was thus the birth of CarPal.
Amazing.
And CarPal advertised itself positioned itself. We never advertised. I sent out letters to all, or emails to all the people that I knew from the Saturn days and then from the Toyota days. And we're talking about thousands upon thousands of people. So I said, look, if you need help, I've left Toyota. And by then they also knew I left Saturn, and just reach out to me and see how we do. We can help you buy a BMW or a Honda, and we can even get it delivered to your house. And so that's how that started. And then it was just word of mouth after that. And we did the same thing. A lot of people don't love talking on the phone. They're busy. And the higher you are up in your professional talent, the less you have, by and large, time for phone calls. Mm-hmm. And so I think they liked that framework. And then they liked that they didn't have to deal with salespeople. I just did all the dealing, just the way I did in Toyota. Okay, take them on a test drive. Then call me and I'll work out the numbers. And then we'll call them. And when everything's all worked out, then they can come get their car, or we can deliver the car.
Yep. Do you mind giving us kind of a quick overview of what you guys do at CarPal, just for the audience members who aren't familiar with your services and what you do?
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Good thing I didn't have any caffeine today because I'd really be interrupted. Hey, I got something to say. So if you're looking for whatever you're looking for, new or used car, we try to cap at $14,000 or higher. And most of our people are in the average car price is $45,000 probably that we help with. So we help with $25,000 cars and $80,000 cars, but pretty much in the middle there. And then no matter where you live or wherever you're about to move or wherever you're moving from, if you've been in one place or you're moving to a new place or wherever you are, we can source the car for you, source it at the best price. If you're financing, which 50% of our clients pay cash and 50% of them finance, well, fewer finance, probably 30% finance. But anyway, if you're financing, we'll source the best rate for you. So we say we have a flat fee for service. It's $11.95 for a service, and with the option of a tip at the end. And it's amazing how many people ask, "Can we tip you?" Because to me, $11.95 sounds expensive, but people's time is money, and we save people a lot of money. There's a lot of hidden places that we find money.
For sure.
So,
What are some of those biggest misconceptions you see when buyers are looking for a vehicle that you yourself know, being a professional, that the buyers miss out not working with a CarPal?
I think how they negotiate, a lot of them come either at a lamb to the slaughter position, so they don't know what they're doing, and then they're told what they're told, and they're like, okay, and so there's that. And then the others, most people that hire us are great negotiators, but the biggest misconception, and these people don't hire us usually, is they take on negotiation as an adversarial, me against them, instead of successful communications is where everybody wins. I have what you want, my business, my kindness, a great survey when you send the survey, respecting that you have other clients. I'm not the only one. I think the biggest misconception is acting like the salesperson really needs your business that badly, and you can mistreat them. And you're not going to get a good deal. I mean, now and then you might get a good deal that way, but salespeople aren't standing for that anymore. They're not paid enough anymore to stand for that. They used to be paid so much money that they would take the abuse. Everybody's getting pay cuts in the sales industry. Unfortunately, car salespeople as well. And so a big misconception is you'll sell to me at any price. Mm-hmm. You'll take care of me because I'm the buyer. I have the money. So honey gets flies. I have no idea what that means. Do you know what that means? Yeah.
Flies like honey. I don't know.
Yeah. Honey gets flies. And so you have to be kind. You have to be kind and know what they want. And the art of negotiation is making sure your sales, we work mostly with managers, but if you're negotiating on your own, that your salesperson feels like you're going to look after them too.
For sure. You said earlier that CarPal's reputation is mostly entirely built off of referrals and your network. What do your clients appreciate most about your method and your services within CarPal?
Oh, I love that question. Okay. Responsiveness, quick responsiveness. Like they ask a question, we're on it. Mm-hmm. They don't have to wait. I think because we're the opposite of what one would hope with a service industry. Like because car dealerships tend to be understaffed or the really good people are way too busy, you have to ask over and over and over. You have to like almost beg to buy a car. Or at least to get the information you need to make a really good decision because they don't have time for you. There's always somebody else sitting in the showroom, which is really not a good place to be if you want to negotiate a great deal. And so I think our responsiveness is great. They don't have to feel the pain of asking the dealer, are you going to get back to me? Hello, I'm here. Because they don't have time for that. And even if they do have time for that, they don't have the patience for that. And even if they have the patience for that, they don't have the tolerance for that. Because it's crazy that that's a long answer to a really short question. The short answer is we're responsive. And that's a way bigger deal than you would think.
For sure. Keeping that customer service.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I feel like I have an MBA so I can be a secretary. Unfortunately, it's a lost art.
Yeah, for sure. We're definitely few and there's minimal secretaries around. And not many people want to be a secretary, but hey, there you go. Yeah. Maybe there's your retirement gig. But you still have CarPal you got to take care of as well, so you can do multiple things, juggle with both hands. How has the car buying landscape changed since you started your career in '97? And how do you keep CarPal ahead of those changes and for the future to come?
Yeah. Okay, a shorter answer this time. I'm going to try for a little more brevity. In 1997, it was a nascence of the internet. And so I think I was the only one at the dealership who actually, and I think this is why I became part of why I became number one in the country, is I'm a techie, like I'm a really big techie, even back then. And my father made sure we had technological skills early on. So we were just starting with emails like, is this car there? They weren't very sophisticated. And it was more of a, yeah, what questions do you have? And it was, the exchanges were about this big and they were adorable. And how it's changed now is that our work on the internet is far more sophisticated. We have Google documents and we have analyses of what would be a better buy and why, and everything we do is online. Everything we do is online, and a lot of our dealerships are getting to that point. Believe it or not, they're pretty Neanderthal. They don't have really good e-signatures yet. They have good, but not excellent. So we're coming along in the direction of everything being able to be handled without being in person.
For sure.
So that's the biggest change. And so we were ahead of that. We were way ahead of that because back in those days, or 15 years ago or 16 years ago when we opened CarPal, we were ahead because people are already not really wanting to go in and doing as little interaction with humans as possible. But now there's hundreds of thousands and probably millions, we don't have that capacity, of people who just don't want to be face to face. They don't want to deal with a live human being. So during COVID, we were thriving. You know, people who sold puppies or dogs were thriving because everybody was getting a pet. They were finally home.
Yeah.
And we were thriving because many people did not want to go in the dealership. Or if they did, they didn't really want to wear a mask, and they had to wear a mask. It's just so we really filled a niche then. And so I think that's how we're ahead of things, is that we're following what dealerships have the better technology and can really sign entirely off-site. Unfortunately, we have to do the horse and buggy sort of thing still, because I would say a solid 40%, we work 50% new cars, 50% used cars. In the used car industry, there's still not enough selection. And so we have to go where the cars are sometimes if somebody wants a very specific used car,
vehicle.
And it could really be a place where we won't often, unless it's in their backyard, which it mostly isn't, where they just have to go in there and there's still a dot matrix for beep 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 beep. Do you even know what that is?
I don't even think I do.
Look it up after. Yeah,
I'll have to.
many of you won't.
Do you see customer expectation changing, the customer expectation landscape changing now that we have hybrid vehicles, we have EV vehicles, soon to be AV vehicles, and we also have ICE vehicles? Do you see customer expectation navigating towards one specific power plant, or are they still kind of scattered all over the place?
They're pretty scattered. I think we have a very good bell curve of what's out there. We're serving about as many people with fully electric cars as we were ever. I think a lot of people feel like, in the United States anyway, there's not enough infrastructure yet. And so we're seeing as many people adopt into it and put their toe in the water as people scooting and saying, I'm not saying the infrastructure and this hasn't worked for us. So I think we're still seeing it all. And we worked for some very famous people in Hollywood, and not in Hollywood like Brad Pitt, but CEOs in the music industry and at Technicolor and at some of these big, huge industries in Hollywood and in California. And even of them, some of them buy Honda Accords and some of them buy Range Rovers, right? Yeah. You can't even predict who in an industry where there's even a lot of money, what they're going to buy. But then you'll see, we saw a school teacher in Texas buy an $80,000 Audi. So go figure. So the only thing that is true that is you really can't predict anything.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
With
How
technology,
money.
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, how people will spend their money. But go ahead.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Can't predict.
With technology being such a big addition this year, we hear a lot about AI. That's kind of been the thing for 2025.
Yeah.
How are you guys leveraging these technologies, these automations within your company to help make that customer experience more enjoyable, more efficient, and just make it easier for the customer themselves?
I have a lot more answers on my fingertips now. When people ask the esoteric questions, I get them quickly anyway because I have a savant about cars on my team, and he's worked for me for like 20 years. So usually I can just text him and say, "Hey, da 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 da," and he'll have the answer because he is AI. But I'm able to not bother him as much. I mean, he's on payroll, but he can do other things, and then time is a great commodity for all of us, and so I'm getting answers really quickly with AI. Of course, you have to really double, triple check the information you get still on AI. It's gotten a lot more sophisticated, but I use that a lot. I use it a lot for forms instead of. I tend to be a typical CEO, so I'm type A. I'm very fast moving, and I don't have a secretary, even though I am secretary. So I'm really not. But so sometimes I'll just need a form, or something. I just get AI to get it for me really quickly, and so it does help us either take on more clients or have more free time.
For sure.
Sure.
With finding vehicles for clients, because some of your clients have very specific vehicles they're looking for. What are some of the challenges navigating that? Do you guys use AI to use that? Do you see a lot more dealerships pushing to more of an online, I wouldn't say sales, but more of an online platform to show more of their stock? Because I know a lot of the time you'd go onto their website, you'd look for the vehicles, only half of them would have photos. You'd be like, right, I want to see what this looks like. So do you see a lot more dealerships navigating more towards that online platform, having vehicle photos, having social media you can look at the vehicles they do have in stock, making your job a little bit easier, knowing what specifically they have?
That's another great. God, you're brilliant. You are absolutely brilliant with these questions. Did AI prepare these for you?
No, that was all me.
That's impressive. I say that quite genuinely because it's a great question. I have a relationship with a guy, a general manager in Colombia, and I'm pretty sure, I'll ask you to take this out later if I'm wrong. I mean, we work with so many dealers all around the country, but his name is Fred. He's amazing, and he's brilliant, and he's a general manager at the McKinney Group, and they sell a lot of products. And so we have some really great conversations about AI. He's on top of it, and so we get to have like a brain trust about where things are going with AI and car dealerships. So that's one answer, that there's a lot of training going on, and I think we're going to see. I don't believe car dealerships are early adopters of anything. I still call them, and this is not very friendly, but they're Neanderthal in a lot of ways. When can you come in? I still have to check myself and not get crabby when they say that. It's like, come in? Like, what? Who's got time to come in? Right? Yeah. And so I would say only about 10%, and that's generous, are using technology, not AI, just technology I should say there's some AI involved, to send a really sophisticated video that somebody wants to watch and really they can learn about the cars. When they do that, it's generally a done deal. It works.
For sure.
So if I could go out and coach dealerships and get paid, I'm sure I could, but I don't think I want to. If more of them could do that, they could have faster sales, I believe, because people want data. They want information. There was a guy that was in the car business early on that says, give, give, give. And so I think the more AI that they adopt, the more data they can share with their buyers, especially sophisticated buyers, the faster they can move inventory. how I'm seeing AI now, if they're using it, I don't know if they are for photos, is AI is cleaning them up. And so it's actually making our process a lot slower, because then we have to ask the reluctant, underpaid salesperson or the super busy sales manager. We work with a lot of them, but then we have to wait days to get it because they're so busy, to get photos of what it really looks like. Because when people are buying a used car, which again is 50% of our business, they want to know, they know it's a used car. And unless it's a certified BMW for $60,000 and it's going to be perfect, it's a $25,000 or $26,000 Mazda CX-5 and it's not going to be perfect. And then our buyers, who are sophisticated, they want to know, where are the flaws? I don't want any surprises when it shows up. The dealer doesn't want any surprises when it shows up. And we don't want, we're all on the same page. Win, win, win. Show us where the flaws are. If we know where the flaws are, then we know it's a used car. We accept. You're not going to have phone calls saying, I didn't know it had this, whatever this is, right? So that long answer to your question about AI is, if they're using AI for their photos, then we don't really know what the car looks like.
For sure.
And then you're going to have problems that are going to take more time.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
It's the user of AI. The user's sophisticated, and I've used that word 4 times today. I think it's a new buzzword, actually. I think I've used it 6 times in this podcast. But if the user's sophisticated and you use it, it's all in who's using it.
Yeah, for sure. And you don't want to abuse it. You want to make sure you're leveraging it to just make your skills a little bit better, so to say. Or maybe if you're a salesperson, you go through a situation and you're not sure if you responded correctly, so you kind of reflect back on it and help it guide you in the right direction. That's the way I always recommend people using AI. Instead of abusing it, just use it to leverage your work. Just make it a little bit better, make it a little bit different, help you think of it a different way, so to say. Use it as a coach almost. And it
yeah, exactly. I love that. This is great. I'm going to keep this and watch it, just hear what you have to say.
Thank you. No, but it's true. A lot of people are abusing it, and they use it for everything instead of using it for specific things to help enhance themselves.
That's right.
And that's one thing that can set you apart from someone that just abuses it. It helps you think a little bit more as well, which a lot of us sometimes need some help with.
Yes, yeah, especially if, like you and like me, if our days are really full, right? And we're jumping from one thing to the next. I wanted to say something about how the business has changed too, and this makes me want to cry, legitimately cry. They're paying a lot worse, and so you get what you pay for. And so back when I was at Saturn, our Mini, which means if it was a new car sold at their flat fee price, and you didn't box their trade, which is lingo we probably don't have time to go into today. Maybe we'll have another, buzzwords in the business to podcast at some point. But you get $185. And then if you hit 12 cars, you get $50 retroactive. And then if you hit 18 cars, which nobody did, I did regularly. They really didn't expect people to ever do this. Then you got 100 retro. So then you're getting an average of $285 per car, plus your used cars, which would be an average of about $500 per car. And it was a good paycheck. If you were a heavy hitter like I was, you're making good money. Mm-hmm. Now the Mini is $150. So if you do the math, I started in the business 28 years ago. I can't count that far back. And I'm getting a 185 Mini. And now it's 150. And allowing for inflation, we could ask AI if we wanted to take a break, but people can do the math in their homes right now. That's pathetic. And so with inflation, what are you attracting? They attracted an MBA. Now I'm still not normal for an MBA to go in the car business, but but they got good people. The people I worked with in those days were like pre-law students. They were people that were doing this on the trajectory of something else, or they were lifetime car people who really cared about their clients, but they got compensated and they could be lifetime car people. Now you're finding either people are doing this because they're retired and bored, but then they may not be up on all the technology, but at least they'll accept the 150 Mini deal. Or people who they're sold a bill of goods about what they can sell and what kind of volume they can achieve, which they can't unless they work 6 days a week and don't eat.
Yeah.
And so then they leave. And so that's the biggest change. And so I was hoping naively when I got in the business 15 years ago that by now, or 16 years ago, when I got into this part of the business as being a consumer advocate, a concierge, car dealerships would come into the 21st century. The 21st century.
Yeah.
Which century are we in? They come into the 21st century, excuse me, and they would make it easier for people to buy cars, and instead the opposite. So the need is greater now, and you asked about the jump from 1997 to 2025, but the jump from when we started 2009, end of 2009, is that everything takes more time, not less. As we get better and better at what we do and understanding people's needs, it takes longer because of the people we're dealing with at the dealership. And so it's frustrating.
For sure. I can totally understand that. And a lot of people don't want to step into dealerships and have that one-on-one interaction. Back to kind of what you were saying back in COVID, it made it easier for you guys because you guys would do it all online, make it easy. A lot of people don't like going into dealerships because they don't want to go in. They don't want to have the conversation with the salesperson. They don't want to try to get sold. They just want to be able to go look at their vehicle, look at what they're looking for, and make their own decision. Do you guys have, going back to used vehicles as well, do you guys have specific people in certain states that could actually go in and take a look at that vehicle? And do like a quick analyze, a quick inspection to make sure it is as good as what the dealership says before your customer, before you guys purchase it for the customer, and just to ensure everything is smooth and clear?
And so the customers buy it for themselves. We're just their gatekeeper. I don't think I explained well what CarPal does, but we're their gatekeeper. So we get everything organized, but the customer pays, so we don't actually pay for it. But it's interesting you said when you pay for it, because I pretend it's my money. If I'm not buying it, I don't expect anyone else to buy it. And if it's a price that I wouldn't pay, I don't expect anybody else to do. And I drive a hard bargain, and I have high standards for my whole team has very high standards. So back to your question, we do have people who will go look at even certified cars, no matter where in the country. Just yesterday, we had a guy that looked at a certified car at a very high-rated mini dealership in Connecticut, and he actually found a couple of things. The dealer addressed it, but it was great. It was well worth the $213 that the client paid. He had the option to pay. I said it's certified, like it's certified by BMW, but it was like I want to say a $25,000 Mini Cooper for his kids, and so he said, "Yeah, no, let's do it." And it was really well worth it, even with that. But yeah, they'll not only look it over, but they'll look it over on things that we'll ask for. We'll ask for even more bizarre things than people even think of looking at, like fold the seats down, see if there's crumbs there. Like there's a lot of DNA that a lot of people don't think to check. They're not necessarily going to fold the seat down for us. What if you fold it down and it's just full of dog hair? It just is one example. Like I have a dog, but I don't want somebody else's dog hair in my car.
Yeah, for sure.
So stuff like that. But they check everything, mechanics, underneath.
Yeah, that's super handy. I had a couple guys from the appraisal network group in a couple different states, and had them on kind of talking about their appraisal stuff. And they have quite a few people that contact them wanting them to look at vehicles before purchasing, just to make sure that they are solid vehicles and that they're buying something quality, because at the end of the day, that's one of the biggest, there's a lot of scams out there at the end of the day. A lot of people are trying to scam people, even if it's marketplace. Dealership, I don't know super well, so I'm not going to get too far into that. Depends on maybe what dealership you're dealing with, but at the end of the day, it's nice to have that professional opinion before going to buy something, and that's where you guys come in, and you have that second person to take a thorough look before making a decision for the customer.
Yeah, and if we're done negotiating, sometimes we reopen in negotiations. Now, we're respectful of the dealer, and they're not going to do something for nothing. And we, like I said, we drive a hard bargain, and I don't mean just on price. I mean on quality of service. If, say, one time we made a dealer, which is why you have to be they have to look forward to hearing from you, not duck when you show up, right? Because we found out that one tire was not quite right. So we had to have the dealership replace that one tire, rotate and balance the tires again, right? And do a whole alignment again. And so, yeah, knowing what you're looking at. And the other thing is, it doesn't mean the dealer's nefarious if they miss something in a certification. They're all overworked too and underpaid. The people in the shop, just because a dealership provides a bad product doesn't mean the dealership's bad. It doesn't even mean the management's bad. It might mean the owner is saying, you can have this budget for your people in the back who are doing the 160-point inspections. And if that budget's not very high, back till you get what you pay for. I'm back on that. They might miss something. They may check a box and they didn't have time because there's 40 other cars in line behind them and they're under pressure to get it done. So it's priceless having somebody like us. And I don't say that as a sales pitch because I'm not fond of salespeople. I don't like to be sold. And then just to circle back, but we're told it's priceless to have us. But back to your point, just to say another word about people not wanting to go in. When you go in and you're looking at a car, it's a big, huge purchase. It's the only purchase that's going to be a bigger purchase is going to be your house if you buy a house, or maybe a boat. Some people buy expensive boats, but it's a big purchase, and so you don't want to do the wrong thing. And so whether it's new or used, to use a pun on purpose for fun, you need to be driving, right? And so what happens when you go and I don't mean driving literally, you need to drive the conversation. You need to drive the questions. I notice all the time that people in the car industry are pretty controlling people. And they drive and they will push you into a decision that you don't want to make, or they'll wear you out and you'll make a decision you don't. So one thing I say, if I had time to write more blogs, which I don't, is bring it back to you. You have to be driving. You have to have your questions answered. They want to move you along, especially if they think maybe you're not going to buy that car you're comparing. They want to drive and get you at the door. Yeah. Right? So they can help a real buyer. If they don't think you're a real buyer, for whatever reason. So it's important when you're there to if you do have to go in because you want to test drive, is to say, look at your clock and say, I'm in a rush, but I want your information. I'll be back in touch with you if this is a good experience. I have 20 minutes, so I really have to control this. And sort of apologetically be in control.
Amazing. I love that. Some advice for the buyer.
Yeah.
That's awesome. From a professional. Going back to CarPal, what are some of the main goals for CarPal? Where do you want to see CarPal in the future? Where do you want to take it? What does that landscape look like for you?
I would love to be able to find a way to get more people to work for us so we could serve more people. That would be my first goal. I would love to find a doppelganger of me and so that I could start as an entrepreneur. I'm a good one, but in terms of I get things done, I get projects started, I turn them into companies. I've only had 2 other companies before this, and we don't have time to talk about those, but I get them going, I get them running. The problem is with this one, I really like our clients so much, so I'm feet on the ground a lot. So my biggest goal would be if we could get somebody like me, then I could start other companies like this, because that would be fun and it would be worthwhile and it would be helpful to consumers. So I would, next one would, one I've thought a lot about, I think every industry needs a pal.
For sure.
So, and it's not a pal, we have pals, plural, but I would like to start other industries where it's really important to have a gatekeeper and have somebody between you and the person with whom you're dealing. AI will eventually take that need away, which I think would be great. I wish people like me were not needed, but they're for the next while they're needed.
Yeah, it just makes if people can make their life a little bit easier, spend a little bit extra money, they're going to do that, and get something quality as well at the end of the day. Looking forward into that future, into those goals of starting maybe some more pals, bringing more pals into the CarPals. What are some of the challenges that you see with hitting those goals?
We don't charge enough, so we can't pay enough. I mean,
Yeah.
we pay well, but I think if I want somebody of my caliber, I have to pay a lot more than we do, which means we have to raise prices, which I'm reluctant to do. We justifiably can. A lot of people have said, why do you charge so little? We're a flat fee for service, $11.95, call it $1,200. We do have to raise our rates. I think as soon as we do that, we can probably hire more people.
Yeah.
I'm just digging in my heels. I was a very late adopter to all of my own clients are telling me to raise my rates because for the first 10 years they were really pathetic. And so they're like, would you please raise your rates? It says something if your own clients say, this is ridiculous, you're charging too little.
Yeah, for sure. They see the value in it, right? They're getting, they must be getting a high class value service that in their eyes is worth a lot more because you're getting them quality, you're getting them good customer service.
Great.
That's the word
Great
I'm looking
customer
for.
service. Right. We save them money. We save them time. Worst case scenario, we'll just save our fee and nothing else. Well,
Sure.
That's the worst case scenario. So it's just a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm not selling. If people say, well, tell me why I should use your service, I hate that question because I feel like, oh, now I'm selling. I'm allergic to sales.
Looking back on your journey, helping customers, helping clients find vehicles, what are some of the most important lessons that you've learned and advice you'd give to an entrepreneur stepping into the automotive industry? Or we'll start with that.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to an entrepreneur stepping into the industry?
I think, an entrepreneur. So like somebody who would like to create a company like this or similar to this, or an entrepreneur stepping into the automotive industry, whether it's service or car washes or tires.
We'll go with that for now. Yeah, let's stick with
The general?
General automotive, yeah.
When I look at my friends who graduated with me or who are in my peer groups, where we just get into these brain trusts about how we're successful in our industries, it's really listening to client needs, like not hearing them, but listening and then repeating it back. Like, if people get that you get them, that's a lost art. Like AI, I learned from AI. I'll tie AI in. It'll say, so what I'm hearing is my AI is so well trained. I love my AI, Chat GPT. And it'll say, what else can I help you with? What else would be good for me to know? Would you, just using those skills that AI has mastered is, I think, a way to really be successful in business. Like, what is the need? How can I serve it?
Yeah.
And then go do that.
For sure. What are some of the most important lessons you've learned when helping buyers find those vehicles they need, and how? Yeah, I'll leave it there.
I have one. I learned this over and over, but I'm working with a senior executive for the NBA right now. We're doing a project, and he reminded me that he told me, you just tell me what to do. Some people really just want somebody that they absolutely trust. So you've built that trust, right? To tell them what to do. And it's okay to tell them what to do. Like, I back off from that because I feel like, I don't want to tell them what to do. But I think if I've really listened and I really hear them and we've gone back and forth on the Google Doc, or we've had a couple phone calls. In his case, he likes the phone. Just say, you know what? I would do this. And then just get it done. So that would be the thing that I don't know why, but more recently I've become more shy about me or my team. Maybe it's the dynamics of my team right now doing that. But if we just say, you know what, get this one, they can say no. We don't care. Mm-hmm. But if we have really good reasons, they trust us. So just live and trust in the trust that's been built. Yeah. I think that's the biggest Yeah. If
Amazing.
they trust you, then just be okay with that.
For sure. You guys are the professionals at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You guys know
Right.
have an idea of what they're looking for, and you find the vehicle. So trust
Yeah.
yourself, trust your gut, and
Right.
go with that. Just go with it.
So I would, yeah. So to that, just I would say back to also professionals getting in. Don't be too arrogant and don't be too self-conscious. Try to really find that balance. It's hard. It's an art. Ask ChatGPT if you have to. Like, what would be too arrogant? What would be too self-confident? What would be too, worried?
For sure.
Find that middle ground. Have I find that the people that I trust and buy from over and over, if we can, if they have the product, are the people that aren't overconfident. They're confident. They're not arrogant. They're very consumer centered, and they have a little doubt on whether they're good enough, and that's healthy. You don't want to be
sure.
so self-conscious, like, oh, I think it sucks, right? You never get off the ground, right?
Yeah.
But just having a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper, not too much
sure.
either.
For sure. If people
So
wanted,
that's my recommendation.
okay,
What?
amazing.
Because-
If people wanted to get in contact with CarPal, get in contact with you, Lindsay, maybe they're looking to buy a vehicle around the United States, how can they do that? Where can they find you? Websites, social media, etc.
Yeah, our Facebook page is suffering, so I wouldn't go there. Plus, I never see the messages anymore. So I would say our website, which is car-pal.com, www.car-pal.com, and then use the get started form. We're very clear on that. That does not mean you're getting started. It just means you're putting information in, and you can have a free consultation with us. So that's good. Texting is great too. That our text number is on there. Texting. Cold calling is my least favorite. I think we say that on the website, but some people cold call anyway. Even though I'm not the super young generation, don't just call me. Did you have an appointment? Is now a good time to call? So yeah, that's my answer. Text
Perfect.
or use the form. And
Make
we
it
can
easy.
schedule a call. Yeah, it's easy. I'm all about, I think, strategy, slowing down to speed up, listening, hearing, and then also seeing if we're a good match. So
For sure.
yeah. And if you don't hire us, it doesn't matter. If we leave you with a nugget that's helpful, cool. Then I've just been able to have a short training session with you.
Amazing. Add a little bit of value and help them on their way.
Yeah.
Well, Lindsay,
Exactly.
thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. Really appreciate it. Learning more about CarPal, learning more about yourself, your experience, your knowledge within the industry. It's been great. And I hope a lot of buyers get some little tips from you on what they should do and what they shouldn't do next time buying a vehicle. And maybe they'll get in contact with you as well. So much appreciated.
Yeah, good talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See ya.